What is up, my little Deinos? Vepsis, your coach of the Helsinki Hydreigons, and we are here for my UBL Season 7 Week 3 battle when we go up against IrishEmerald and his team being the Wexford Wailords. He's somebody that we actually got to play exactly at this Week 3 as well last season, and we did manage to win him that time around. But he has a scary team yet again. He's relatively good drafter in my opinion as well, similar to Automatic. And he definitely has some scary threats for me to worry about, particularly Tapu Lele, Landorusterian, Tauros even, and especially Barraskewda with its speed tier. So I'm gonna be covering my team of 6 very briefly before the battle is gonna be starting. If you wanna skip this part of the video, the timestamp should be popping right about now on your screen in front of the Metacross in itself. But in case you obviously wanna see them, let's just go through my team of 6 that I'm bringing for this, and we are starting it off with a very obvious but necessary set, which is going to be a Saltfest Metacross. I debated this to be Kassiperi and be able to run Stealth Rocks on it, but after doing some mocks with this afterwards, I noticed that I kinda need the Assault Vest longevity pull that it gives me and the chance to swap into even a Spec Shadow Ball more than just once in this battle. And we are running very weak moves, but I wanted to have as accurate moves as possible with Metacross, because I actually end up missing stuff like Meteor Mass in my mocks. And a Steel Roller, as cool as that would have been with the dual terrain, I noticed the terrain wasn't always up for me to click it, so I want to have a reliable stab this time around to hit the Lele with. So we have the Iron Head. Psycho Cut, I had Oversen Head, but honestly it could have been also Earthquake as well. But I figure that under Psychic Terrain, Psycho Cut can still be nice, and yet again I need this guy hit its moves when I really need it to, so I get the guaranteed chip damage. I don't want it to be missing, and it should not change any 2-hit KOs or 3-hit KOs or potential OKOs regardless of that. So that's why we are running the little bit weaker but the most accurate stabs on the Metacross team this time around. Then we have Ice Punch to hit the Landorusterian and a Rock Tomb to kind of have a form of speed control through it, and it's still able to hit the Rotom Heat as well. So it can be nice 4th neutral move to go for in different situations. And then we are bringing my mixed Tapu Koko with Wild Sauce, Brave Bird, Dazzling Gleam and U-Turn. But we are actually making this to be Choice Scarf, and this can be very odd bring for my end. And don't get me wrong, at first glance it always seemed like a bad choice for me to make. But I needed something to beat Choice Scarf this week in order to outpace Barraskewda, because Barraskewda, to be honest, might be actually the biggest threat versus me after something like a Dual Dance Landorusterian, for example, or Specs Lele or Tauros even with the Life Orb, because I need... It has the proper coverage to hit my entire team at least neutral with Liquidation, Close Combat, Poison Jab and Psychic Fangs. So I need to have something that can outpace it, and us being mixed means that I have enough speed in order to outpace a Drifblim and after a Unboided boost if it has the Psychic Seed from his Lele, or if it's a Citrus Berry in general to get its booster. As long as it's not like plus speed nature, which I don't expect it to be, this thing can outpace it and revenge kill it easily with the Wild Sauce in itself. And then we have Brave Bird to hit the Tangrowth. We have Dazzling Gleam just in case if I need to hit Scrafty a little bit harder. And Fracture, for example, if he makes a art bring from that side. Cause if it was like a Sword Dance Scale Shot, it was looking a little annoying versus me, depending on what versus it was going to set up itself to. And then U-turn for the initiative. Then we are running a 4 attacks Choice Specs Rose Red with Nature Cure over Poison Point. Poison Point was a little bit in my mind to use in mocks, but I opted to have Nature Cure because I want to make sure something like a Ice Punch Freeze doesn't completely neutralize or cripple my Rose Red to be ineffective for the rest of the battle coming for something like Scrafty. So I wanted to have the Nature Cure. Then we are running Dual Stab with Energy Ball, Sludge Bomb. Then we have Dazzling Gleam to hit the Scrafty and Fracture harder. And then we have Shadow Ball hit the Tripling. But ideally, I will be clicking mostly Sludge Bomb, which I'm probably gonna actually move it to be the first selection of the move for me to click, because Sludge Bomb is relatively free versus him, considering the 6 that I'm kinda anticipating come versus me. So, or from the 7, certain 7 mods I expect the 6 to become his team versus me today, which would be Barraskewda, Tauros, Lele, Landorsteria, Rotom Hit, Scrafty, and Tangrowth. Those 7 mons I expect to see, and obviously it can only be 6 of them, but considering all that, Sludge Bomb is completely non-resisted barring Landorstarian. And if I can get a huge choice specs damage on Landorstarian, I absolutely take it, because the quickly away Landorstarian is gone, I have less worried about it to set up on me and beat me later on the game, or my Tapu Koko becomes a lot more free that way with his ground type being gone. So this is gonna be our main wall breaker this week, and then we are bringing probably the worst Hydreigon set you have ever seen anybody using, including myself. I will fully admit this is the worst type of Hydreigon set, and I would never admit anybody running this, but I kind of felt forced to do it, cause honestly, Sword Dance, Rock Polish, Landorsteria with Stone Edge and Earthquake seemed like a huge problem in my prep, and I wanted to have something that can comfortably two-shot it, comfortably not get 2-8 KO'd by it, and that's where the Reflect comes in play, and we have Lyclay on it. And Reflect Lyclay is actually kind of nice support outside of dealing with Landorstarian, because we have to deal with things like Barraskewda and Tauros potentially. It makes easier for me to pivot around Tangrowth and Scrafty into my offensive threat like Victini and Rosered without worrying about taking too much damage. So like, weirdly enough, it actually kinda made sense, at least for now. We'll see how I feel about after the battle, how good of a bring this was or not. But like, in theory it makes sense. And then Surf is there to hit the, obviously, the Landorstarian 2-8 KO as long as it's not very bulky variant, and then if it's very bulky I don't expect it to be as set up very heavily oriented, and then it's like a supportive Landers, which I'm less worried about at this point of time. And it's able to still hit the Rotom Hit for some nice damage, and the Steelix as well while at it, if Steelix would happen to show up. Then we are bringing a 4 attacks, including U-turn on my Cloyster with Water Pulse, Aura Sphere, Ice Beam, and U-turn. This actually, funny enough, was restock for the longest of time, but I noticed while I was doing some mocks, I didn't end up able to keep this long. Its longevity, while it could get that out of restock, it doesn't take the hits just well enough to always avoid not being 3-8 KO'd regardless from like close combat from Barraskewda or Tauros. If I don't have a Reflect Up, it's basically 2-8 KO in this thing. So I figured instead of trying to pull off restock with this thing, and obviously my own terrain potentially blocking it, I figured that I'll just let it be fully physically defensive with Rocky Helmet and just pivot around early game for me around the Barraskewda. If I have my Rocky Helmet intact, I get some chip on it, which means that it cannot pivot into a weak rate coming from my Victini, which you're gonna see that I'm gonna bring this week. It means that I get a little chip on Tauros if I still have it intact, which means that it's in a range of wild charge for my Tapu Koko a lot sooner. And it's able to get a little bit more chip around this Crafting and let me get a U-turn around it potentially and wear it down that way for my Specs Rose Red. So that's kind of the Clyde, so it's kind of there to be the water resist versus the Barraskewda, which ultimately might end up killing this regardless or something else. So I'm just hoping it to be a good team member this week and allow other members to shine even better. And then the last member of the team is going to be the Victini that I touched on with weak rates in head but toxic and substitute, with a very unique spread that I don't go too much in depth into or start showing it regardless, but I just give you basically the summary what its end goal is all about. Basically, the way I EV this Victini with holding heavy duty boots is that uninvested Volt Switch from Rotom Heat will not ever break my sub barring a crit. Hopefully we don't see any crits in this battle like usually. I don't like to crit myself, my opponent. I don't want to be critted, I want it to be a clean battle. Assuming everything goes clean, I can always substitute free on Rotom Heat. And I also, if I have Reflect Up, Tangrowth, uninvested Earthquake will not break my substitute either. And that's pretty cool in itself. And I noticed in my mocks that it came relatively useful. And weak rate is there to be just strong enough that most cases I should always kill the Tapu Lele. I think there's like one smallest of rolls that it could live, but ideally we don't get low rolled on Tapu Lele, we don't kill it. Or unless if I get any chip damage, then it should still die to this thing as well. Tangrowth, also depending on its pull, can actually live a weak rate from this Victini, the spread that I'm running. But as long as I get any kind of U-turn chip from my Hydreigon or my Cloyster that are likely to lure in that tank growth if it's a Southwest set, or my Tapu Koko as well, while at it mentioning. Those U-turn chips should still put it in a range of weak crit. So ideally, because of that, it shouldn't matter that I don't have the proper spread to always all-quiet from full. And then we have the Toxic to hit the Rotom Heat and whittle it down that way. And Zen Headbutt is a nice stab to neutral stab to hit versus majority of the things that doesn't lower my speed or my defenses. And if it happens to be that Tapu Lele's Psychic Terrain is up, it does get boosted by it. So in that regard, I kind of like this Victini set. I hope that the substitute works like it's intended to. The one annoying thing about this team is that I'm definitely... Well, it's annoying, but also, I guess, calming way that I already know my lead being Hydreigon. Because I'm not bringing my own Ground type versus him, and I fully expect the Rotom Heat to come. So I'm kind of expecting him to be lured into lead with it. And that can be a good thing for me in turn 1, because I'm planning to lead with my Hydreigon, get off a Reflect potentially, or go for a Surf, depending on what 6 I see in front of me. But it can also be a little annoying thing, because if I don't position myself properly versus a Rotom Heat coming in, it can keep getting freely initiative versus me. So it's all about momentum in this battle, it's all about getting the proper reads, and I expect because of that being very hard battle versus IrishEmerald with a very strong team, and I have seen him able to beat some big names in Wi-Fi scene before. So that's gonna be the team, and now let's go and see how this battle is gonna be turning out. Alright, here we are with the battle with IrishEmerald, and let's go and see what he decides to bring versus us. Like I said in the team builder, I had 7 Pokemon in mind that out of those I expect the 6 to be. We see Quillfish instead of something else, but that's the only difference I really see. So we see Landorus. Let's see. Let me pick up the standard sets for myself. I'll set up my Hydreigon as a lead, because I always knew that's gonna be my lead of choice. He may have brought that thing over Tangrowth just to be a check for my Barbarical instead. So we have Landorus, we have the Barraskewda. So double fishes, which is always interesting to see. We have the Rotom Heat. I'm checking on the time that I have enough time to submit some of these mons in. We saw the Scrafty, which I expected to be Assault Vest. We see the Lele. I have 20 seconds. And the last one is Quillfish, which I can figure out later what it's gonna be. But yeah, that's gonna be the lead of choice. Good luck and have fun to IrishEmerald. And hopefully it's gonna be fun and clean battle, honestly. I hope just it to be clean for both sides. It's always fun to make sure that whoever won it was supposed to win the game. And ideally we can go 3-0 from this. He leads with the Quillfish instead. Okay. Quillfish is his choice of lead here. I think I will put the Reflect regardless. This could be Thunder Wave, but I don't mind my Hydreigon to be that slow. So I go for the Reflect. The worst case scenario is that if we see spikes coming out of this, but I could see him honestly swapping out. Unless this is Focus Sash. Like I would expect Scrafty to show up here. Yeah, he does withdraw. I expect to see the Scrafty. Yep, there's the Scrafty, which is Intimidate, so that makes me think that it's definitely then Assault Vest. So it doesn't have Shed Skin for potential rest. And this is where I utilize my Rose Raid. Well, at first I'm actually gonna swap into my Claw Itcher to get the Rocky Helmet on this. And then I U-turn into my Rose Raid, because then I can fire off some strong Sludge Bombs. He has 2 resistance to it, but they aren't necessarily something I don't mind damaging. Like something like Quillfish, I'm pretty sure takes quite a bit of, from this Rose Raid. Let me see, Quillfish, if it's max HP, Slot spawn can still two-shot that thing easily, so I don't mind that. And we are gonna go for the U-turn, get some little bit of chip on this. You're also gonna notice I'm not using the HP bars that I've used before, because I was noted that they don't actually end up being the most accurate the way I had them set up, and just to preserve my own time. And speaking of time, I guess we are having a little bit of connection issues all of a sudden. Similar to week 2, hopefully that's not gonna last too long. Yeah, either way, I would go into my Cloitzer here on this turn. Expecting like knockoff coming from his end. Train Punch even is fine, and I have to reflect up any day now. Any day now. There might be a scenario that we end up being disconnecting at some point and we have to find a new server, but we'll see. Hopefully this thing gets going. Okay, we are playing actually at noon my time, which is like Eastern European time. And I didn't expect there to be really too much of an issue with connection, because I didn't expect to be too crowded in this server that IrishEmerald picked for us, so it's kinda odd. Yeah, I DM'd IrishEmerald and asked that if we should try a different server before we get too far into this battle. Regards to recreation wise. Okay. We finally get to go into our Cloitzer on the knockoff, which is not doing a whole lot, and I managed to put it around 75% already, which is pretty good. Which is pretty good. Because that means that if at 75%, I should be able to 3-hit KO'd with Rose Raid, even if I'm clicking Sludge Bomb. And I don't want to click Dashing if necessary right away. Because normally Wi-Fi battles should be fast-paced as long as both of us are picking our moves. And it should be fun to see all the animations going, but now we are just in a stalemate because we are having this connection shenanigans. Like, I'm all for switching the servers by now, so it's just up to Irish to pull the trigger. Okay, so we basically agreed on that once this turn has been gone through in this server, we are gonna be backing out from this and recreate this on a different server. So we are gonna be coming back shortly, hopefully, for both of our sakes and all of your sakes, cause I honestly have been probably editing like the waiting scene and let you hear my thoughts on what we are planning to do here. So stick tight as we are gonna try to fix this server shenanigans that we have going on. Alright, we are starting getting to the point that where we left off. So he brought his Quillfish in on my U-turn, and this is where I told to Irish that as we are reconnecting, that I made my decision to go into Victini on this Quillfish, and he hasn't actually seen yet what I'm about to do on this, because this is where we decide to swap our servers, and thus far it's working better. So hopefully here we can start finishing the battle in our normal terms. I have Reflect up, so unless Quillfish happens to stay in and go for a liquidation, he has a very small chance to break my sub. Like 8.8 chance to break my sub, unless he's offensively invested. So I will go for the sub. I expect the Rotom Heat to come in, which I'm hoping to see. And then I'm hoping to see no Thunderbolt, no Fall Plays coming from it, no Dark Pulses or Shadow Balls. Just expecting to see like Volt Switch from it. But he does stay in. Let's see if he's able to break my sub. He goes for the spikes instead. Okay, that's fine, I think. We are gonna just send Headbutt this. And try to go for the 2-hit KO. I guess he was kinda expecting me to pivot out again. But we are gonna be going for the Send Headbutt, which it should be doing good amount of damage to this thing. Yeah, we did all way over. Okay, he does go for the second layer of spike, so he was committed to get this up, which will be a little annoying, but getting rid of this Quillfish is definitely worthwhile for me. If he's even giving this. He might even keep this as a sack. No, he doesn't. He does let this thing go down. And Victini does manage to kill the Quillfish. I do have to worry about 2 layers of spikes later on the battle, but Ideally, this Victini and my Specs Rose Red are able to open door enough for me that I don't have to worry about this too much. And that was one of his poison resist gone. As he does go into the Rotom Heat, and this thing should not be able to break my sub, and I will get this on timer with Toxic. Again, I'm saying this with Volt Switch he cannot break my sub, so we cannot pay Toxic on this Rotom Heat. So we have it on a timer, because this is one of the biggest nuisance versus me. He does go for the Volt Switch, this should not break my sub. Yep, he wasn't able to break my sub, so this Victini is working as I've designed it to be able to. And now he has an annoying time to figure out what does he go into, because essentially I get a free hit on something. I get a free V-Crate Ocean Headbutt, whichever comes into first. If Landorus comes in... Okay, he goes into Scrafty. And the Intimidate will not affect me, so I can basically just get up a V-Crate on this. How much am I doing to this Scrafty now looking at it? I will do 61 to 72 to a Spadef variant. We are gonna just fire off a V-Crate here. Okay, he does withdraw again. And goes into the Rotom Heat. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Iris is making good plays, because now he can break this up. But it means that, again, something else has to come in on this and take a hit. As we are wearing this Rotom Heat down, he should be at 60... That should be like 65% currently, what I would imagine that to be. So I'll just mark it down for myself. If he goes into this Crafty, I don't mind it too much. So I think I'll just send Headbutt here. And I keep wearing down this Rotom Heat if it stays in. He does have the full play on it. Okay, so he is able to break my sub, but it's a little too late for him now. It is a little bit too late for him now. And now I get up another Sin Headbutt on this Rotom Heat, and it's getting worn down even further along. Perfect. That thing is basically now worn down for myself. He could go for a Pain Split here, which I'm a little worried of if I'm allowing him to do that. But Hydreigon can do stuff that later, so I don't think I mind it too much. Yeah, I don't think I mind it too much. I'll go to the Hydra regardless. If he full plays, I get to surf and kill it. But I'll keep this Victini healthy, because it can potentially still revenge kill the Tapu Lele. But we could see the Pain Split. He does go for the Volt Switch. That's the best case scenario, that he didn't get off a... Well, not best case scenario. Full play ideally would have been the best case scenario, but he didn't Pain Split with it. So we have seen now full play from it. Now I don't expect it to be Defog anymore, because he had the spikes on his team. And now the Specs Tapu Lele does coming, which is gonna be annoying, because now the two laser spikes are up. Well, I don't know if it's Specs or not, but assumingly if it's Specs, I'm gonna see, does that 2-hit KO my Metagross? It can 2-hit KO my Metagross, so I would have to, regardless, make this play to scout the damage. He could be also a Nature's Madness on this, which would mean that I take 50% of my max health at the time. So it would go off after my after I take my spikes damage. So we're gonna make the obvious play. Let's see if he's gonna... I would expect Iris to make the prediction, go for Shadow Ball. Right? That's what you do right here. He goes for Calm Mind. I don't mind that too much. I'd rather just then go for the Iron Head and hit this thing. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess around with this thing. I'm gonna click just Iron Head here. Calm Mind Lele. He does have the Shadow Ball. He's probably gonna do a decent amount to us. Yeah. But we have the Iron Head, so we should land this just fine. And we do take out the Tapu Lele. Perfect. Okay. The Rotom Heat I forgot to mark. I think it's at 30% at this point. I have to remember to check what the reflect turns are on, so I don't do a wet potato like I did week 1 versus Addison. So I'm definitely gonna check that and keep it in mind. Ideally they are still up at this point, because that means Landrasteria and Barraskewda have a little bit more annoying time to revenge kill me. So thus far I have to just worry about the Landrasterian. Clear body protects from the intimidate for what it's worth. And I will click the info and check my reflect. Okay, reflect is not up anymore, which is good to know. At this point I think I'm okay letting this go down, because I don't want to swap into anything else on a hit. So I will just go for the Iron Head. This thing already took care of the Tapulele, which was the main role that Metacross had to deal with, and thankfully, unlike in some of my mocks that I've been doing, that it actually ended up dying to the Tapulele before killing it, but he does go for the Train Punch, which I'm fine with. I wanna just keep this relatively low so my Rose Rate can come in and revenge kill this thing. So we just go for Iron Head again. Because I'm pretty sure I can pretty much click choice specs. He goes for the Train Punch again. He tries to keep himself as healthy as possible, which is fair enough. But I might be able to actually click Energy Ball here with Rose Red and be able to pick this one off. We go for the Iron Head once more. And we're gonna see what... Oh! Okay, I didn't expect that to kill. I thought I was expecting to see a critical hit, but never mind. That was surprising, to say the least. And here comes the Barraskewda. You can have this thing. I'm perfectly fine you having this. So I'm gonna just Psycho Cut. Liquidation does come out. And he's able to kill that one off, and here I can go into my Cloyster and I can pretty much from here... What do I click here actually? I could click Aura Sphere. That should hit the Barraskewda with good damage. I don't want a U-turn here. I'll click Aura Sphere. I'll get the damage on this thing so it's easier for me to revenge kill with Tapu Koko's U-turn or whatever. Because I think the hardest hit for him to hit me is close combat, which will lower his defense, which is pretty ideal for me. If he swaps into Landrasterian, I have the Ice Beam to hit it. Rotom Hit I imagine dies to this, if not it dies to the Toxic Recall. So right now I just have to keep in mind that I don't lose to Landrasterian. Like I need to always position myself, if I don't have a Reflect up, something like Cloyster is in the field which can Ice Beam it and hit it hard enough. Because it should die barring a Yahtzee Berry, and if it's not Yahtzee Berry, then it's not Weakness Policy. Let's see. He does hard withdraw, so that means that it's not likely to be Flip Turn or his choice. I would like to see this Aura Sphere killing. I was kind of banking on it, so it would. There we go. There we go, Cloyster. Getting the kill on the Rotom Heat, and now we have Barraskewda Landers left. Landers we Ice Beam on, Barraskewda we click Aura Sphere yet again. Okay, he might be choiced with this. But I'm clicking Aura Sphere, I'm not gonna try to preserve this because I will take spikes afterwards, and there's no really need to. Because after, if I'm able to get this one up, okay, he does go for the close combat. Does a decent amount of damage. But because you drop your defenses and this is Mega Launcher boosted, even if I'm defensive, Cloyster, can you kill this guy off? Oh, you can kill that guy off. We are the stronger fish here. We are a strong shrimp. We are a shrimp guy with a huge ass cannon, and we are able to kill off the Barraskewda, one of the biggest threats versus my team. And now the Landrasterian comes in, and I have to Ice Beam this thing. There's no ifs and buts about it. I have to Ice Beam this. So we're clicking just that. He does go for the Earthquake. And this is where I go into Hydreigon and get up my Reflect, and then I start surfing. Yep, I don't have any other choice here. We get up a Reflect and then we surf twice. So let's get up the Reflect. Let's see what kind of variant of landers you are. I've been fearing a setup variant, and there's the Rock Police, yeah. So let's get up this Reflect, and then I'll go for a Surf. Which should 2-hit KO you. So let's go for the Surf. And it's the dual dance that I was expecting. Don't be Weakness Policy, that's the worst case scenario anymore. Let's go for the Surf. They should 2-hit KO you comfortably, as it does. We don't see Weakness Policy, good. Now it's a Surf again. As he goes for the Brick Break, okay. That's gonna do decent amount of damage, but we live, because we are fully physically defensive Hydreigon, and we are able to claim a 4-0 win. The worst Hydreigon set you're gonna ever see be used by myself, by anybody else in the league, actually worked. Without me being fully physically defensive, I'm sure that would have killed me, and after that it would have gotten dicey, but good game to IrishEmerald. We are able to snag a 4-0 win. I'm gonna talk afterwards like what kind of potential role that was, if it was any. It could have been X-Pepper for all I know, and then we have to worry about that, but if it was a role, I'll put the graphics right here if I get to get that information from IrishEmerald. But next week we are going up against Sully Mumble, who was somebody I got to play in the last week of the Champions of Galar tournament, and that game is not something I think about too warmly about how I perform in that battle, so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm definitely gonna be way more prepared versus Sully Mumble than I was that time around. And hopefully have a little bit of redemption arc like I had versus Addison in week 1, but he has a tough team, so there's like all gassing up that I do right now and talking that how I'm gonna be prepared, it might be all for nothing, cause he has a Celesteela, he has a Weavile, he has a Nihilego, he has my favorite bulky water type Sean the Slowbro, so he has quite a few problems for me to worry about next week, but until then, thank you for watching and I'm gonna be see you guys later.